Welcome everyone to our maybe last special bonus episode of Conversations Void for this year, but the last special one for the spooky month of October. I'm your host, Graveyard. Make sure to follow us and find us. And if my producer is here, I'll tell him to say hi, but he's currently not here. Regardless, I am pleased to introduce actor, director, writer with works including Capo, The Rise of Power, Gravesend, and Denied Entry. Please welcome to the show the one only Jimmy Barbarise.
Hey, how we doing?
Good, you?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah. I know we were talking a while ago, and now we're here. You know, it was because we have to get in. We'll get into it a little bit, but we're talking about Capo, Rise of Power because that starts streaming in a couple of days, right?
Yeah, actually, it's been on Amazon Prime for a month now. Yeah, but it'll be on Tubi on Halloween.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, so Jimmy, I like to get to know you a little bit better. What really brought you into the world of acting and writing as a whole? Is there anything that you watched growing up? Go, you know what? I want to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of a very unique story. So it would be The Godfather, the movie The Godfather. So I watched it with my dad, and I was just so intrigued by Al Pacino and the way he played Michael Corleone, hence the reason why the main character of Capo is named Michael. So I wind up writing a alternate ending to The Godfather in 6th grade. And I convinced my elementary school to let me put on an end of the year play with this alternate ending. And they let me do it because it was clean. Obviously. And they had to be scratching their heads going, what is an 11-year-old writing The Godfather? They were so intrigued they wanted to see it. So anyway, it actually turned out to be really cool. And I directed it, I cast it, I wrote it. It was end of year play. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember doing that for the first time after I saw Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Is my buddy had a camcorder. We were probably like 11. And we go, you know what? Why not have one of us play Dr. Loomis, play the old ass Donald Pleasant?
Yeah.
And so I played Michael Myers.
Man, that's fantastic. Do you have a favorite villain out of those guys?
Halloween is my favorite franchise of all time, except the last 3. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Michael Myers is right there. So
wow, that's awesome. Yeah, it is a great franchise. I love Friday the 13th. Those are my favorite. I know they completely get drawn out, and it's never ending. But one of my favorites, because it was like one of the first 3. I seen Friday the 13th 3D, part 3 in the theaters.
Oh.
And that was really cool. I was like Jason forever after that, man. Just popping eyeballs out and shoots out through the screen. It was good stuff. Yeah.
Well, kind of talking about horror, do you have, besides Friday the 13th, are you a big purveyor of horror movies, would you say?
I love them. It's unfortunately my wife doesn't. So I watch them when she's a labor and delivery nurse. She delivers babies, so she got long shifts, and that's when I dial up the horror movies.
Yeah,
I love them all. I love Freddy, Jason, Michael. I love the Saws. The Saw franchise is really cool to me too. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan.
So here's the tough question. Then you ready? What is the most overrated horror IP that you can think of that you just go, I don't know why I made $2 billion?
Oh man. I don't think I could ever it was hard for me to buy into the Screams. That's just my take on it. But everyone has a different opinion on stuff.
Oh yeah. So on the flip side though, is there anything that you just think is so cool, so obscure that when you find out someone hasn't seen it, you go, you have to watch this right now?
Well, I think what's kind of trending now is what's the biggest hit in the box office right now?
Art the Clown.
I just started watching it's really big in the theaters right now. My son was telling me about it, so I went back and I watched 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, 3. I don't know why I'm not drawing the name.
Terrifier.
Terrified. There you go.
Yeah.
And I went back. I watched 1 and 2. I was like, damn, like you need to watch this. They did a pretty good job with that. I haven't seen it yet though.
You haven't seen it though?
No. Have you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We did a two-part podcast last week that we released of the Terrifier franchise, including All Hallows Eve. I ended up being my co-host and I, we talked for about 2 to 2.5 hours on it.
Wow.
And then I brought on a actual film critic who gets paid to do this, talk about Terrifier, the franchise, with me as well. And we talked probably for another hour and a half. And it's interesting to see people's thoughts and ideas on it. You know, I personally feel they went down in quality with each entry.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you think 3 dropped?
Hands down. I felt 2 jumped the shark. 3 shows we have money. So we have now, I feel for the first time noticeably, CGI.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And to me, that's a shame because I thought the first one was so good because it was an 80s slasher and it was Tom Savini level practical effects. So I really enjoyed the first one because of that. And I have a fear of what number 4 is going to do. And it feels like it's getting to that point, and I don't like it.
Man, it's kind of time. It's like time to pull the plug, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought one was great. It had that whole 80s feel to it, like you're indicating, and I respected it. I was like, wow, this is kind of like a hidden gem, in my opinion. But 2 wasn't as good. I agree with you on that. So now, I'll wait to see 3.
Yeah, once you get into Angels and Demons, it's not as fun as just some psycho going around killing people. So it loses its charm.
Yeah.
All right, Jamie. So let's get into this here. So how did you really get into acting? Like, how did you get your first role, and what brought you to where you are now with Capo?
So I actually I grew up in New York. So I lived in was raised on Long Island for most of my life before I moved down. Right now I reside in suburbia of Tampa. But when I lived in New York, I auditioned for we lived in this complex close to the Bronx. This is before I moved to Long Island. And one of my, I guess you would say, neighbors in this apartment complex, he was a regular on a spinoff of Barney. It's an old 70s show, Barney Miller. It was a cop show in New York. They did a spinoff for it, and he's like, "You'd be really good at this." And I was little. I was really little. And I auditioned for it, and I came in second. I didn't get chosen for the little boy. So I always had that like taste, that flavor to get back involved in it. So when we moved out to Long Island, I told you a story about how I got involved with writing The Godfather. And stuff. So life came along, raising kids. That was kind of, my goal, my career.
Right.
Then COVID happened. Well, just before COVID, unfortunately, I lost my brother to lung cancer. And he had this like big brother pep talk with me in hospice. And he's like, man, I don't know if I have it tomorrow. You do. And I know it's always been in your heart. Go chase that dream.
Okay.
Give me that like last pep talk, big brother pep talk.
Yeah.
So, I had like this catharsis moment, like, wow, I don't want to be in that position and say, what if?
Right.
So COVID happened. My businesses were closed. The world was closed, the whole 9 yards. So I started writing this script. It just came over me. And it was kind of, for me, it was like the law of gravity was pulling me into it, because then I started getting onto some TV shows and some independent movies. So I got in, I was on Gravesend season 2. I was in 4 episodes of that. Then I was in a fan film of Camp Crystal Lake with Jimmy Barbarise. And then I was in an independent rom-com, Gianna, that just came out on Amazon Prime 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
really
nice.
good. Yeah, it's about an Italian family and overprotective parents. And I play the overprotective uncle, so it fit perfect. But during this whole process, I was just being a sponge, absorbing everything on these multiple sets, especially a set like Gravesend that has A-list actors. It's a huge production. And I was able to just absorb all that sort of stuff and put that into my own experiences where I wanted to go with Capo. And I happened to meet a gentleman by the name of Lou Silva, who is extremely close. He's actually now on Tulsa King.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I ran it. Me and him co-wrote the rest of Capo together. He was very close with the late Frank Vincent from The Sopranos and from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So he kind of gave me he polished me on that whole the mafia type of genre. But we didn't want it to be like this quintessential or this regular mob movie. Everyone does stuff like that. How many times can you do it?
Right.
So I wanted to bring in the horror part of it, like the sci-fi horror genre, and blend that together. Because I wanted to reach out to today's audience. There's a lot of fans of Stranger Things and Dexter and that type of.
I love Dexter.
Yeah. So there is a little spoiler here. So I wound up talking to a dead person through the first episode. It's very Dexter-like. And so we kind of, that's where the audiences were just like, wow, man, this is really, really cool and unique. We never saw this on a mafia movie, but it's not a mafia movie. See, the mafia is the color of the show. Premise is really about this spell, this generational curse, this evil curse on this family that dates back to Palermo in the 1920s. So that's really, really the dynamics of the show. And it's really very, very unique. And I encourage people to go watch it.
Yeah. I mean, that's, we had conversations off screen and stuff like that. And it's just, it's a great conversation piece. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about that you had to go, but you talked to a witch, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. What was that experience really like for you?
Okay. It was very unique because she is actually, her name is Chrissy Lewis. We found her. See, Stregoria is Italian witchcraft. And there is a book written about Strega that is banned in the United States. We wind up calling this person that wrote the book. He was deceased.
Okay.
But his wife says there's one of his head witches still around. And she lives out in San Francisco. We contacted her. She was right on board.
Wow.
What a nice lady. She has her own witchcraft shop in San Francisco. So cool. She really educated us on the generational curses and the spells and the repercussions of that, and kind of what they do at the altar. So when people watch Capo and they see the gentleman, Lou Silva, who plays Don Passero, at the altar with the Star of David and all this stuff going on, this is real stuff. This is genuine. And it was I'm not going to lie, man. So I was intimidated. I was intimidated speaking to her. So I'm going to tell you a really, really cool story on why.
Okay.
So she educated us on all this stuff. We wrote it into the script, and the production company was just blown away. This is really good stuff. So there was a symbol that she told us to create. Okay. So the production company created this symbol, the Strega symbol. And in this scene, Don Passero's at the altar with it. And we do the scene, we cut, he gives it to me. I take it keep it in my truck, and I go to the 2 days later where we're doing another shoot. And the co-star on the show, Roxana Sepulveda, who plays kind of like my nemesis in the show, she says to me, I got the Strega symbol. I'm like, look, at the end, I don't want to say what it is. It's kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I want you to hold this because you're going to get powers because of this. And she looks at it. She looks at me. She's like, okay. So we do the scene. It's all done. And we're wrapping for the day. I put this symbol back in my truck, and I leave from the set to drive back home. Now, the set is out in Boca Raton. It's about 3.5 hours to Tampa. I kid you not. I'm driving home, and my truck, the dashboard lights up, and it says, like the exclamation point. It's blinking, and I'm going, what the heck's going on? So I look down. I had 3 flat tires.
Wow.
And it was a brand new Escalade that I have. I mean, It didn't have more than 5,000 miles on it at the time. And I go, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
So thank God I have run flats. So I was able to go to a certain speed to be able to get home. Mm-hmm. I call Roxana and I go, what did you feel with that symbol? She goes, Jimmy, I felt something over me. It was weird. It was like a dark cloud when I was holding that during the scene. Dude, I destroyed that the minute I got home. She's like, kill it, destroy it. I destroyed it. True story, man. And it's, if you look on the IMDB, like the fun facts of the show, we wrote that, we put that in there for people to see. Really crazy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, 3 fat tires sounds like my wife when she drives somewhere. The 3 things that are always going off in her car when I go into it is it needs windshield washer fluid, it needs gas, and it needs air in its tires.
Yeah, man. Look, so that was a true creepy story. Mm-hmm. And that thing's been destroyed.
But that was a real symbol, right? Not a okay, so it wasn't made up for the show. It was a real, genuine symbol.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct.
I was about to ask you, like, because I'm working on a script for a cult movie that's going to be probably found footage and stuff like that. And we want to do old school cult. So, like, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God type, like 1600s.
Wow.
Type thing. And what we want to do is deal with thinking that, social media is the new God, and that a cult is very upset by that.
There you go.
I'm working on a symbol for a ruin that is essentially the on-off power symbol, but it's going to be the symbol for their cult. And I'm working on that, and there's going to be Easter eggs of that in everything I do now. That's going to have just pieces of that kind of everywhere. So that's what we're working on. I'm just going in the back of my head, am I really superstitious? Not really. But if you create something powerful, there's always that horror movie. There's always that TV show that goes, oh, we'll do in a movie like, oh, we spray paint the symbols, and all that combination makes something really happen, right?
Right. Exactly. So you never know what's ahead of you.
Yeah. So without kind of spoiling anything, what was the hardest scene to shoot so far in Capo?
My gosh. Well, I think one of the hardest scenes, and I wasn't in this. I was co-directing the scene where we have to try to abduct and kill a kid.
Yeah.
And this little girl's just adorable, and she plays the part so well. She can act. She's a great actress. Silvana Cimarano. She plays Apollonia in the movie, and just being a parent, and I'm a coach. That's kind of my day stuff. Just, you got to click. You have to turn the blinders on. And at first, for me, that was extremely, extremely difficult. When I wrote it in, Lou Silva, who co-wrote me, he goes, "You're crazy." He goes, "You're writing in this kid." I go, "This is what sells. People are going to want to see this."
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, people that watch it, they go, "You're deranged going after a kid, man." So it's a wow factor. You need the wow factors.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a hard part for me to direct. It was much easier writing it than directing it. From an acting standpoint, I had a really cool fighting scene with two experts. These guys are who did all the stunt training for us was Juan Bofil. He is the stunt coordinator for all the Iron Man franchises.
Okay.
So he was our stunt coordinator for Capo, and he had G-Rod, who's in this guy's in everything. He's in Cobra Kai.
Okay.
He's in so many things that came off the top of my head. And he's big, he's intimidating. And doing a fight scene with that guy, I'm just like walking up. I'm like, I got to swing a baseball bat at this guy's head. And just even after doing the training, it's still intimidating doing this, especially when the guy's like, "Don't half swing on me, man. You're swinging at my head." So that was really that took a lot of guts and a lot of training to get it done. But the scene came out fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like these scenes, because with me making independent horror movies, we have put some things in there that the movie that just came out earlier this month, Amazon deemed too graphic, too extreme for Amazon Prime.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, this is one of my buddies. He wrote and directed it, but I'm ADing it. I'm acting in it. I actually ended up playing 3 different parts, 2 of them being Shemps, if you remember that term.
Yeah.
And so we had actresses that couldn't make it it was between like May and August that we were doing this. And so I ended up filming part of it at my house. And my wife, I convinced to be in the movie and be on a kill tape.
Wow.
And so the guy who's playing the serial killer couldn't make it down from Michigan. So I played that, which means I got to kill my wife in our house for a movie. And I'm just going, okay, this is weird. Like, in my head, this is weird. Like, I obviously know it's all fake. It's all my props and all stuff like that. But like, they said that like in the kitchen, I knocked here a few times with the hammer, but you don't see it. But apparently the way I was bringing the hammer up and the way I was striking it looked really good to the point. I'm like, huh, interesting.
Wow. In your own home, no less. How about that?
Yeah. And it's just like, I'm like, all right, also cut her heart out and then smear it all over my other friend's face. So
wow.
So what has been the experience like with you with Capo? Obviously you haven't done something like this with writing, creating, and starring, right?
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Just because of the genre that was merged together and that was created, it created this really big wow factor. I was able to get on Fox, CBS, NBC, do all these interviews before it came out on Prime, and it was very, very well receptive because of the uniqueness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has been, it was really big challenging. People don't understand. So one of the toughest dynamics, and I'm sure you get this because you're in the industry, is post-production is so taxing. Yeah. And I used to get every week, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? And like, post takes so long, especially when you're dealing with some sci-fi realm. There's a lot that gets involved, and the color, the sound, there's a whole different. We had our intro credits is a very dark intro credits, and it was done by the same company that did the coloring for Ozark, which I love. That Ozark's a great show.
Yeah.
So We had some very, very talented, unique people involved, but you got to wait. You're dealing with people that were in high level stuff, like Cobra Kai and Ozark, and it just takes time. And that was probably the most frustrating part. But the fans, once they've seen it, each episode is rated on Amazon Prime. Everything is like a 9.4, a 9.2, a 9.7. The episodes get some great ratings. You can't be fooled by when you go on IMDb and you see like the overall, because I didn't realize this. I contacted IMDb. I'm like, how is every episode in the mid 9s, but then you have it as a 5 overall? And their take was they don't share the method to their madness on mathematical. They don't use math. So if you get a rating from someone in Indonesia or Asia or India or somewhere that's out of the States, it actually brings your ratings down.
It's to stop the spam bots. Essentially, the people that pay for their ratings.
Correct. So how unfair. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Like, it gets sold overseas and people overseas watch it. It's not like there was like 100 different country ratings. There was a couple. Right. So yeah, I had no idea. So thank God I'm able to explain that on these shows like this and people that you speak to in the industry, because they're like, when I go on the episodes, it's like 9.4, 9.2. Why is it a 5? It's just because of that whole protective mechanism IMDb has on it. So we've gotten, if you look at it though, we have over 220 10 stars.
Wow.
So very, very, very well receptive. And we're so excited to get season 2 rocking and rolling. So right now we are, we're at MIP over in Cannes right now.
Okay.
So that ends on the 30th. And then from there, it'll go to AFM next month. And once after the new year breaks, there'll be the European film market in February. And then we'll start breaking into filming and doing stuff on season 2.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because I like to hear and you're talking about like the ratings and stuff like that. Like my normal pre-recorded podcast I do with my co-hosts, we have ratings and you can look at like the statistics analytics, and it goes number 2 country, Belgium. Why Belgium? I have no idea.
Right.
I'm just going, okay. I see things like New Zealand, Australia. I go, I'm sure. I have no idea.
Right.
Exactly.
But here was my argument, and I'm sure you can definitely attest to this. It's unfortunate that this industry is filled with a lot of envy and a lot of jealousy, and it's unfortunate that that's the dynamic, because it's really I got to learn that the hard way. So if I didn't like you, I could pay for a bot to put stars on your show and bring the ratings down because it's from another country, and people actually do that.
That's absurd.
Because they didn't get casted in your show, or they feel you're a competitor. That is awful.
Yeah.
I could never do that to somebody, but people do it.
Yeah. I can tell you, in the indie horror world in this country, there's a lot of us, but there's a lot of drama. And I'm just going, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Like, I have anyone come on my show that wants to come on the show. And I've had people on there, other people going, don't have them on. We don't like them, blah, 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 blah. I go, look, this is just, we're having a good conversation. We're having a good time. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But like, being in it too, I go, I'm never going to want to badmouth anyone unless it like you come after my family. Then yeah, right. I will. But like, besides that, like my biggest thing is like, don't be a dick. It's really that easy.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And I love that approach. I have the same approach as, like people want to, even in life, they want to talk shit or stir the pot or whatever it may be. And for me, I love everyone. And that's the way I go about life. Unless you're after my family, or if you're hurting kids, then I got a problem with you.
Right. Yeah.
Other than that, man, I could care less what you do, who you love, or what you do. God bless you, man. That's that. I don't get involved in stuff like that.
Yeah. And I just, as you know, anything getting made, whether TV show or movie, it's a miracle it gets made. And it takes a lot of work to get something out there.
Yeah,
And so, like, I will never go, oh, your graphics aren't the greatest, or oh, this. Like, a story is a story, and you have the work put into it. So I appreciate anything people put out.
Yeah, absolutely. You're dead on, man. And that's, I wish other people would look at it that way. It is so taxing. It is so difficult. I got, when Capo was released on Labor Day weekend on Prime, the amount of people that just said, it wasn't even about, they go, Jimmy, not only is the show really cool, but you did it. Not many people could do that. You actually put out a TV series. Yeah, man, it took me 3 years, but I did it.
Yeah. We are in pre-production for a show we're trying to do. We have a pitch deck. We just need to pitch it, quite honestly. So it's been a lot of work so far to get to the point we're at, and we're ready to start doing it. So we're working on it, and I'm hopefully the TV show goes well. But we're at the end of the show, Jamie. We got to get into these wrap-up questions here. So, you talked about Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Of all the Friday the 13th, which one's your favorite one?
Wow, man, there's so many. That is so difficult. I was frustrated Freddy versus Jason because Freddy was kicking his ass. In that scene, man, I was really frustrated with that. Well, I have to mention that it's my most very frustrating one. Man, I'd have to say I'm gonna stick with 3. I loved the 3D thing. I just loved the way he terrorized. Just, it was a different dynamic than all the others. But one, being from New York, when Jason takes Manhattan
for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah. I'll never forget. Me and my best friend, we went to see it in the theaters because we're big Jason fans. And when he walked into that diner, and this really big guy, like 6'8", throws his apron off, he goes, "I got him." And then a second later, Jason throws him across the diner. Was classic. One of my favorite scenes on Jason.
Awesome. All right, so Jimmy, you worked on the fan film of Freddy, of Jason coming after you.
Yeah.
If you were to get a script for the ideal horror IP franchise to be in, what would it be? Like, you would never be able to turn it down, or even just write or direct.
I obviously, we touched on Jason. I would love to be part of something like Saw. I think those are so sick, twisted, and demented. I would love to do something like that because it's kind of like, it's completely opposite of the person I am. Because after people seen Capo, they're like, "My God, I didn't know you could be like that." It's completely opposite of me hunting down, trying to kill a kid. So I would love to be involved. I would love to do something like that with Saw. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Many years ago, probably at the beginning of YouTube, I made a skit where I was backyard wrestler when I was a teenager, and now 40, I'm paying for it. I had a character called Scream, and it was the Scream outfit, right? That was a character. And I was originally going to have him rate horror movies as that character and say what he would do differently in a movie.
Wow.
So when Saw came out, I wrote and directed a skit that we did of what if he sees Saw and does his own version of it.
Wow.
And the joke is he's so stupid. All his traps are the easiest thing to solve. Like, what point it's like you have to figure out which 2 weights are the same weight, and there's a stack of them, but they're the color coded ones.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool.
So it exists somewhere on the internet. I'm not saying where, because all my backyard wrestling stuff's also there.
Okay.
But it's something I want to revisit, and that's what I'm doing with these skits, because I love comedy and I love cheesy horror as well.
Oh, okay.
But I agree. I would do a Saw movie in a heartbeat.
right? Instantaneously.
Yeah. As I'm telling people I'm working with, like, I will sit in that makeup chair for 5 hours. Do your worst to me.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of horror and comedy, have you watched any of the Toxic Avengers?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I used to love those as a kid. Those were really cool too. Cheesy. That's why I like them.
Yeah, I know people that know Lloyd Kaufman, so
Oh, wow.
So maybe I get to work with him and meet him someday soon. So, all right. So, Jimmy, any advice for anyone getting into writing and acting and directing?
Yeah, I would tell them that it's never too late. Be persistent, stay the course. Because me, I did it much after, like, oh, my kids are out, we're empty nesters, and I did it at that part of my life, that time in my life. So stay persistent with it, chase the dream, even if it's in fragments, even if it's in a process that maybe is not something you want at that rate or that speed. Consistently chase it, because eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. You ready for your random horror trivia question?
Yeah, I'm ready to fail.
All right. What state does the 1999 film The Blair Witch Project take place?
Oh my goodness. What state? I do not know, but I'm going to guess.
Okay.
Michigan?
No.
Oh.
You want to know?
Yeah.
Maryland.
Really? Okay. I got the M right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yeah. I do. I didn't know honestly either, because I don't, that's always something like, I think they said like once. I knew it was like the New England area, but that was about it.
Wow. So, Maryland. I wouldn't have thought that, honestly.
I mean, Maryland's like, that
yeah, exactly.
It's the only woods there that they went into.
Wow. We actually filmed that rom-com I was in, Gianna. We filmed in Baltimore.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm filming our next movie in April in Connecticut. So
great.
And I have to know, as someone from the Chicagoland area who's still in the show, why the Bears?
Oh, diehard Bear. And I'm fresh off of getting my heart broken on a Hail Mary pass. Walter Payton was my childhood idol, and I stuck with them since.
All right, that's fair. Like I said, I don't know many people outside Chicago that are necessarily Bears fans.
Yeah, it was great for me growing up, because they were really good when I was growing up.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, they won the Super Bowl when you were alive. I go, yeah, I was like 6 months old. I don't remember. All right, Jimmy. So where can people find you and follow you, learn everything about you and Capo?
Yeah, so check me out. I'm on Instagram at Jimmy Barbarise. Facebook, same thing, Jimmy Barbarise. They can check out Capo Rise to Power. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's Capo Rise to Power series. And then on IMDB, you could check out season 1. You could check out season 2, because it's all on there. And they'll give you the the pre-production dates, post-production, all that sort of stuff. And right now, you can watch us on Amazon Prime. You can watch TV series on Amazon Prime, and we will be on Tubi come Halloween.
Ooh, Tubi's a great place. We have a lot of our stuff there.
Yeah, love Tubi. Love it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jimmy, for joining us tonight on Conversations Void. Before we go, I know our quite potential sponsor was in the chat, but I have to make sure, shout out the shirt that he sent me. Wow. That he gave, that's about the that is D&D character from his comic. Cool. That he is coming out. So thank you, Jimmy, once again. And always, I'm Graveyard. Follow us on all social media at Podoutatnight, where I'll post all new things, hopefully with our new show coming out, our new movie coming out, our new campaign starts here in a couple of days for our next movie. So we'll see you next time. Don't get lost in the void. Good night.